almost immediately. But picking a map that you like the most, removing maps that you don't like, but then also the strategy of taking maps that you know are strong against other teams.
Yeah. And that is something that plays majorly into effect in most esports, obviously. You need to be able to read your opponent well, anti-strat, which is a big deal. For Hyped Up, it's a thing where, for them, really, they can sort of take a step back from that, really. They don't need to overly read their opponents, purely because of the amount of buffer of points they have. Like, I think if you work it out mathematically, it's going to be pretty hard for them to not make it to the finals either way with the huge lead they have, right? They would have to basically bottom out and allow another team to just completely blow them out the water. I think even then, they would still make it through with like the third spot. So it's going to be hard there. So they can kind of take this quite easily. Again, sort of what we expect to see from Black Bulls was a very slower approach, maybe not hoping to win every qualifier, but just turning up to foster the roster and see how things go from there. But I think it'll be interesting, just in terms of, are they coming in here going to be putting in tooth and nail, want to scrape their way through and dominate, or is this more just going to be about expanding the map pool, possibly trying out a few different things, and setting themselves up with a bit more of better practice, really, to gain some information before we do get into that live final?
Well, as we go into what's always the second half of the season, the goal is always going to be about kind of creating storylines. You know, the storyline currently is that Hyped Up are the #1 team to beat, and if they remain #1, the question's always going to be, who is that #2? Right now, I definitely feel like it is actually V. It seems to be, in terms of the top 3, YAKUZA USA have always done pretty well for themselves, but I would say the 2 strongest teams are always going to be Hyped Up and V, kind of respectively. So if they can kind of continue this rampage, it's going to be the results that we expect. But now, the variety is going to come from the picks and the bans, because the second teams are now able to, if they have a weakness, which is, I hate playing on this map, if they get the choice to remove it, you know they're basically going to remove it every single time. If there's something that you guys consider yourselves weak on, eliminating that weakness, do you just become this perfect team? Do you become this team that is obnoxiously hard to take down because the one thing teams had to go against you is now no longer pickable at all?
It can be that case, you know, if we see a team that has just had this constant weakness, they can now remove that and obviously pick to play towards their strengths, whereas other teams, they can counter-pick, go off the back of it, of wanting to force them into either game modes or maps they know they don't perform on. And that's where Gunslingers has a little bit of a tactical edge in terms of the VO. It's not like Counter-Strike where it is purely just done off of what maps you're fluid on that play to more your style or what strategies you have in your playbook. It purely can be done for the game mode as well. So if you wanted to take a team on King of the Hill because you know individually you might not be as crazy in one-to-one firefights, but you have better teamwork and can win those King of the Hill maps off knowing when to rotate, that could be a huge point going into the Vitos. I think that's something we're going to see develop more throughout the season.
Well, we have gone into our first map, and my word, is that quite a lead to begin things with. We can see on Atrium, the control point, all about controlling as much points as possible. There's 3 total on the map. And this can lend itself to snowballs quite heavily. If you can control 2 of the 3 points, you're pretty much always going to be on the lead. And this is the one map where getting those constant kills isn't as important as getting the constant points. Jen, she's able to secure 1 kill. Aim assist takes her out, though. A 1-for-1 trade. But my God, look at that start.
Yeah, that is crazy. Not even 100 points picked up yet to the 600 on V, as they're going to be very happy. Just blasting away ahead.
Jen is kicking ass.
Just destroying everyone. That is crazy how she's been allowed to get away with all this damage.
And unfortunately, as long as they're going to lose people one at a time, they're going to be trickling in. I'm kind of worried about how much they're going to get. They can't get any kills. No Water Aim gets 1, but not before he's swiftly taken down. And this could be our fastest map of the day. This is almost over. 400 points away, and we're going to be finished here on the Atrium.
Yep, they have every point locked down. There is nothing their opponents can do. Amplified, looking like they need some kind of juice right now as they're just down and out of the action. They cannot get it together. They're about to hit the 1,000-point mark, and it just isn't doable. I think this one's as good as done already. Yeah,
I'd definitely be prepared to say wrap this one up. I think it's going to be done. Unfortunately, just couldn't really get anything going, and through the natural ticking of the points alone, this is going to be a 1-0. V will be going up 1 map, and we are very, very quickly going to be going into our next selection, that's for sure. 100 points left to go. Just look how quickly it's ticking down. They have total control, and all 3 points captured.
And what's scary with that as well is this has been just mere seconds into this matchup, but it's only the best of 3 stage as well. So they get this, they need another map. It's crazy. I mean, we basically have just had a 1-map series here in how fast that has gone. It's been out in seconds.
I literally blinked and missed it.
Yeah,
that's what happened right there.
Like that.
So, a dominant map, number one. Unfortunately, when you're on the back foot like that, it's quite a lot to recover from, I think, when you're on the receiving end. But going into our next map, which I believe is Wild West, I think we're going to be seeing some King of the Hill. Haven't seen King of the Hill today, so I'm actually really excited to see that. One of my low-key favorite maps to watch is Wild West, because it's so sporadic. There's so many points to kind of take those sniper spots, but at the same time, it's very up close and personal. There's lots of angles to kind of catch those ambush points from. But in King of the Hill, it's not about holding the point. It's about kind of holding just slightly further out, you know, kind of just being the aggressively defensive team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to know when to sort of over-advance past the point to stop them from getting in. It's basically just about being that bouncer at the front door, you know, checking the IDs, kicking them out and just saying, no, not today, boys, you're not coming in. And just pushing them away from the site. And that's what they did. And they locked it down so easily. Just from the get-go, really, what, like a 500-point lead to maybe 100? You're not going to come back from that. It's already just too vast.
Exactly. The second you get sort of like an amazing start, you get put in a very difficult position where you have no choice but to make sure they don't hold any of the points. And then at the same time, you have to make sure that you are holding complete dominance. And against a really talented team, I'd go as far to say as that feat is impossible. You just can't do that, because you're going to be taking deaths as you take a point. You're going to be taking constant lives down. They're going to be getting points even if they're losing points. And if they have a massive start, then it's a feat that you cannot climb back from.
I like how the North American region, one key difference that I've noticed already, a lot more interesting in terms of the names they go for. You've got Agent_Socks, no auto-aim. And of course, backed up by his brother-in-arms there, IM26 E4U, no aim assist.
I think they're trying to say to us that they don't use auto-aim.
Or the aim assist.
Or the aim assist. I think collectively they prove the point. Unfortunately, maybe they should use aim assist, because that was a dominant game number one.
It'd help them out a bit, wouldn't it? But then you've also got the classic there of not a team player helping out V.
Well, not a team player is right, because he got the lowest amount of points on the team. Maybe if he was a team player, he would have got more points and helped the guys take the win.
That was Jen being the real team player with 10 frags picked up. Lots of good damage done. Was literally the frontline infantry that was just backhanding anyone that tried to get past him. Just unfortunate for Amplified there. Just so slow off the draw.
Well, the thing about Jen as well was that she got 10 kills, but then 5 deaths. You know, that's one of those things, is that when you get loads of kills and quite a few deaths, not really that much at all, it's kind of like I said before, you're going to be dying regularly when you're in team deathmatch, or anything at all. Like, not really TDM, sorry, that was obviously control points. And I actually would go as far to say that you're even more at risk on control points, because to hold a point, you pretty much need to be standing on it. And if you're standing on a point, you're vulnerable to grenades, first of all, ranged fire, and then when they inevitably get close with the porcupines, it's Barracuda from range. I don't know why I'm mixing up my weapons today. It's been a long day. But we're going into Wild West momentarily. We should be loading into it very, very, very shortly. And it's kind of like what I said. I kind of expected V to do well. They are continuing to do well. And are they going to be a grand finalist? I'll be honest, I think it'll probably be 2-0.
Yeah? I reckon so as well, from what I've just seen in that matchup. Obviously, if you're going to take that much of an early score lead and still have no point in the map where there was even going to be a lapse, like, it wasn't close, right? From the get-go, no. They had a huge lead, but it was just a whitewash. They dominated it. I reckon we're going to see a repeat affair. In terms of the individual skill as well, we saw Jen popping off, so you know it's not just them being able to hold the front line and get the points from capping. They were winning those firefights as well. So even on the Wild West, I reckon they can just go full Jim West Desperado Rough Rider.
It actually took me a really long time to clock the end of that sentence, actually, right there. But Wild West, there is a couple of like really key locations. There's the center of the truck, in the center of the map. Now, we've seen players like Killing Machine, for instance, the European side of this league. He favors A, right there. I haven't got a pointer, so you can't see it. But right where A is, look to the slight left, and there is a downed truck with some wood on it. Players like to stay up there because you have pretty much vision over the entire map when you're on that point. The thing is, the second someone catches sight of you, you are one of the easiest to pick off when you're up there. So it's like you kind of take the trade of maximum vision versus everyone being able to see you at the same time. So when you are that sort of sniper role, that long-range damage, you need to be really good at repositioning yourself and acknowledging that your position has been compromised and you have to move somewhere else. Now, there's plenty of other room around. You can kind of sit pretty in the building, trying to get a little bit of range damage as well, or you can stay up top on the balconies where a lot of fights take place also. Wild West can be a pretty fast one, staying true to its name, I think.
It can be rapid indeed. And it'll actually be quite an exciting affair to get into this one, as I think we are ready for the game. We'll be diving into that one quite soon, and it should be a pretty tasty affair. Obviously excited to see what these teams can do in this environment. This is going to be a lot more high tempo, and we are diving straight in. Already, there is the lead for the side of V. 200 points at the 44 as they're picking up the frags and keeping them at bay. And the position you were talking about is majorly in play.
Unfortunately, through an amazing start, Amplified, we can see minimal points coming out on their side. I feel like they just didn't have a very good start, and V have run in, able to get to the point just a little bit quicker. Obviously giving them quite a significant advantage, I think. Bullseye manages to take out one. Phoenix takes out team player. But Bullseye drops, and unfortunately, they're just not really able to recover. I feel like it's 203 points. It's going to be returned, and now Amplified starting to fight back. It's definitely not impossible.
Agent Socks reminds me of sort of the name of if it was like a secret agent kit. Agent Socks.
Oh, I see. I see. Almost like one of those kids shows.
Yeah.
Special Agent Shocks. Socks, not Shocks. My God.
It'd be like a black and white cat with black paws.
You just talked about socks, so I said Shocks by mistake. This is a bad day for getting words wrong.
It's all gone wrong.
It has all. Where did it all go wrong, Jackie? We were doing so well. Oh, aim assist drops. Guaranteed damage coming through on the grenade. Bullseye. Pretty out in the open. Corrupt. Oh, gets the ambush. And they have been able to fight back and take this point. V looking absolutely clean. And now Corrupt is going to be defensive with this Barracuda. Contribute, he has to watch out on the right-hand side. They've clocked him. But actually, no, they're looking at the wrong point. Oh, there he is. See you later. Nice backflip.
The Americans are a lot more flashy in terms of the outfits we're seeing coming out. Remember we spoke about the hats, but I've never seen that outfit before, and it was quite bold.
That is a very nice customization. Oh, there it is. He's got metal arm. Look at him. Look at that American football armor.
The robot arm goes down as he will be punished. Big Kev on a rampage as he finds the triple kill.
And not a team player. Being a big team player and getting the surprise maneuver. Popping the scout rifle to get increased movement speed, but not before he runs into auto-aim's blade. Lying there and wait. And even though normally you get an increased set of points, I think, again, because we have 100 left to go before V move on, I think I'm ready to pack this one in. You reach a point of no return in Guns of Boom, and I think 100 points to go versus a team that haven't even got half of theirs. This has to be, like, unwinnable.
Yeah, they can retake this point. It's going to be quite easy for them. 50 points left. It's all they require. They're still getting the kills, so even if they don't take the point, they can just win off the back of that. They do cap it. The slow trickle's going to come into effect. There's the killing blow, and V have done it. Probably the fastest series I think I've ever seen in this game.
Yeah, in both of those maps, they were able to reach the point first, which obviously gives them a nice little bonus if they can sort of beat the other team to the punch. And through solid defensive play, you can keep that lead, and it just continues to climb time after time. And just like that, V move on into our grand finals, looking like the strongest team of this week. They did have the highest amount of points leading into this GO4, kind of breaking away from the tradition. Normally it's hyped up for the team to beat, but for this week in particular, it is actually going to be V. So huge congratulations to them. By no means is that the end of Amplified. We'll be seeing them in our third place playoff. But now we have our next match, which I believe should be YAKUZA versus Hyped Up. Good opportunity to kind of show you, Jackie, what Hyped Up is all about.
It's true, I'm excited for this one as well, because obviously they're going to want to try and overpower YAKUZA here and get into that grand final spot. They know V's currently ahead of them in terms of the current GO4 standings. In terms of the overarching standings, they are in the lead there, but you're always going to want to beat out your rival if you can. I think that grand final is shaping up to be a pretty exciting affair if it carries on the way it looks like it's going.
I feel like if you are Hyped Up and you've gone into this tournament not being like the main team, and there is another team here which is kind of being seen as like your competition. As the most prestigious team in this league, they have the most points, more points than anyone else. If there's now competition and it's going to be grand finals, Hyped Up versus V, that's going to be more of like, hang on a minute guys, wait a second. We are the #1 and now the stream's on and everyone at home is watching. This is the perfect time to kind of show them what's what. But we haven't reached that point yet. This is still a semi-final best of 3 to get through. We'll find out what the map selection was in due time. Currently going over the vetoes as we speak. But, oh, I've just been informed. Thank you very much. Wild West is going to be our map #1, and then Skyscrapers for map #2, and Subway if we reach a map 3. A lot of King of the Hill, and King of the Hill is a fast and furious game mode.
That is very true. Obviously, a bit of a switch up from what we've seen today. Different. And it is going to be interesting. I haven't seen Subway in quite some time now, so excited to see if we actually do go to a third map, as that one is always ridiculously fast-paced. The angles are so long, you can constantly be seen. It provides for some very interesting fights from what we've seen in the past.
It does, and they're quite different fights as well. It's one of those maps that I think goes against the grain in terms of its general map design. There are some locations that Subway has designed that is kind of designed for certain players of a certain play style to go that, to be honest, no one ever really does. There are certain parts of the map that don't get used because at a high level of play, and that's as well the difference between, I think, casual play and competitive play, that just because something was designed to be done a certain way doesn't mean that in tournament it's actually used the way it's intended, which I personally, I've always liked that. I've always really liked that stuff. You know, sometimes like a design team or a game will have something in place and it gets used differently and it just gets changed massively because it's like, oh, we didn't design it that way. But I like it when a dev team, as long as it stays within the rules of the game, just roll with it. When something's made and it's used differently, it kind of shows, I think, the creativity of the game's community. Yeah,
classic clever use of game mechanics line. The old school meme, that one. Always exciting to see what people can come up with. Obviously, it does feed into some interesting things in terms of the meta game. And for a map like that we only see now and then, what are the nuances they're going to find? Is there any new interesting things? Because there has been that downtime as well. And we saw a little bit of a change of some sort of the setups. Much closer games now as well, it seems, across the board from what we saw in Europe. This time around, obviously, V were a far more dominant team. So they blew them out of the water. So we didn't really get to see that. In this matchup, hopefully we can see something a bit closer. Or if not, I think our grand finals are really going to see what has changed in terms of North America during that downtime of the off-season.
Well, the thing is V have gone into this tournament as the #1 seed, which is super different to what we have been seeing. It's normally been, you know, this is a rerun. I've seen how this one ends. It's hyped up, winning every single tournament. That's pretty much what the streams have been when it comes to North American teams, because that's just a testament to how dominant hyped up actually are right now. But it's interesting that we are seeing them as our second match, and that's because they're just not the #1 team for this week, which, in my opinion, is a massive upset. It says a lot, though, about your success as a team, that it's an upset when you're not #1 for the first time in the game's existence. But that said, prediction-wise, I'm still predicting a fairly comfortable 2-0 for Hyped Up. I think their reputation lives to its own expectations. We know this team is talented. We know they have the results to back it up. But now we're reaching the second half of the first season. This is the time to make sure you can stay consistent. We've seen on the same side, Jug Knights of Honor 1 have been unable to maintain the top level of standard we knew they could do at the beginning. Hyped Up were dominant during the same time. They've just been able to stay top dogs for a bit longer. Can they do it now? That is the question.
Well, seems to be a good start so far. They're racking up those points already. 200 to 76. The frags are starting to come back through. That site control being taken as they will attempt to lock it down. Pushing out, expanding further across the board. Hyped Up trailing slightly further behind it.
And again, YAKUZA getting a killing spree has been single-handedly keeping YAKUZA in a position to even remotely start something. Unfortunately, it's not been enough. YAKUZA USA has been able to pick one off. Hyped Up, wonderfully prioritizing the targets, but unfortunately it's not enough. They're trading it back and forth, which is causing YAKUZA to stay in the lead. And at no point have Hyped Up been able to really fight for control over this point. Every time they've tried to take it, it's swiftly been taken back.
Crazy to see as well, actually, Megiddo Nagoku has moved over to the North American YAKUZA squad.
They traded players, it seems.
Yeah, they've subbed the North American player into the EU team and given the European player to the North American team.
Well, you know what? That's actually an interesting decision. I was going to say it's worked out, but Hyped Up have actually been able to sort of claw this back. They start off 200 points down and now find themselves in the lead. It's barely a lead, yeah, sure, but it's a lead nonetheless. It's YAKUZA USA, they've taken the center point. Now they're trying to fight back. J-Master, pro mode only. I wonder if that's actually a specific account he only uses for tournaments.
Just for the pro modes, not for casuals.
Potentially. He might have a separate account and stuff, who knows?
Could be. This is the most ambitious crossover game of Guns of Boom ever as well. You've got Thanos, Optimus Prime, Tony Stark, and Venom all in one server.
Well, this is a collection of pulling in some big names here at the Guns of Boom GO4 finals. Thanos, I mean, of course he managed to win that 1v1. No, oh, never mind, he died.
He's been hit in the face, goes down. That's all it takes, apparently.
Should have gone for the head.
War 2 it's going to end, yeah.
Click.
Well, the damage being done. Still a very close affair. Hyped Up are starting to peek out into the lead now towards the late game. At a slow start, but Stark making all the difference.
Snow and Stark together. Snow, if you'll even count one. Jon Snow says hello. Venom, we're now going to be checking him out, but only lasts a little bit. Optimus Prime. Optimus deletes Venom after defeating Stark, and Stark getting a kill as well. You know what? Now you've pointed it out, I can't unsee it.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is amazing. It's my favorite. And here comes J Master, Pro Mode only, the biggest of all the names.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite character. And now, only a few points left to go. Hyped Up should be winning this map, and it's been a great turnaround, I have to say. They started off significantly behind, 200 points short, in fact, and now only 53 points away. Now make that whatever. I've stopped having to count because they keep getting kills. 4 left, and they're going to win this map. This should be game over. There it is, 1008 to finish the deal. Hyped Up taking map number 1.
Wow, Hyped Up. That was a big one. Obviously, a nice crossover event there. We got all the references into one little game.
Dare I say the most ambitious crossover in video gaming history.
Exactly that.
Well, I mean, there's actually not much to really say about that map. Is that Wild West is such a fast map. It's very, very aggressive. And the thing to really take away from how that started is that Hyped Up had a horrific start. They were behind about 200, maybe even 250 points. And when you start things off really far behind on like King of the Hill, it's very difficult to climb back because you need to not only win the fight, you have to be on the point long enough to take it, which is easier said than done when someone spawns within like a Barracuda or Thanatos and you're kind of within their line of sight, or grenadable. Grenades on a point is a very dangerous way to clear it out. So you have to take the point, win a group fight, but then win essentially the next fight to then get that cycle of respawn. So if one of you drops, that's fine, respawn, come back in, you're now healthy to defend the rest of your team. One of them drops, they respawn, come back nice and healthy, and you kind of keep that cycle going. The pain train has to keep rolling in that essence, but that is just going to be our first map.
Yeah, nice, obviously. Slow trickle. In terms of the stats, it was actually a pretty spread across the board in terms of the damage done, the frags that were found. Obviously, good defense to the point from either side. The guy Nagoku, he was rotated off, obviously transferred over, 10 big assists, but only 3 actual frags found by this man with 87 points to his name. Maybe that was why he was subbed off of the squad. I wonder if this means as well with YAKUZA, obviously on the USA side, they haven't had a rebrand yet. If they do become Black Bulls USA, would that then be Buffalo Wild Wings? You know,
I wondered where you were going with that one, but you know what? I think I'd say that would be a good decision.
Yeah.
Purely just because I am personally biased and incredibly love Buffalo Wings, I have to say. It's one of my guilty pleasures.
Other brands of wings are available, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. You can get, well, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That.
The Neil Tasty Wings.
So you can get, oh god, P&D ketchup wings. That'd be bad. Do you ever have someone do that? Just chicken wings with ketchup as the sauce?
I don't know, it's pretty outrageous.
That sounds really disgusting. Yeah. It sounded disgusting before I'd even talked about it, and now I'm saying it, it's even worse.
But it would be the fact as well, what would be more offensive? Do they dip the wing into a small little pot of sauce?
No, pour it in a bowl and then do that thing.
Oh, they roll it on?
Do that thing where you put it in a bowl and you put the wings in and you just flip it. That would be the most offensive.
Flipping the ketchup-y wing.
Oh, just get a ketchup. Oh, yeah, that's right. You get a shirt that looks like this. But anyway, we're going into our next map, and to be honest, Hyped Up having a fantastic start after being super far behind previously. That alone shows me why Hyped Up are the current team to beat in North America, and it's setting up for what could be a really good grand finals, but we are moments away from getting into our next map. We have to wait for things to get picked and organized, and the pick and ban process, obviously we kind of do it before the series begins, and then we have to load in accordingly. Speaking of which, here we go, Skyscrapers. Such a game-changing map. Every time we see it in competitive play, and Hyped Up, Venom gets a triple kill, and that's a fantastic way to bring them back into the fight.
Yep, starts it off nice. Venom trying to carry on here, show what the symbiote can get up to as he does, push round the angle, but goes down. Goku going over 9,000 with that one.
And helped out. We see the defensive grenade coming through. Obviously, no one's home. But that's, in essence, sometimes can be useful anyway. If you throw a grenade and you see no damage numbers, you know there's no one there. There's no one within that certain area. And on Skyscrapers, so many small hallways that a grenade, if you're standing near it, there's no way to juke it. If you get hit, they're going to get that data on where you are.
Aggressive fast push. Goku not quite realizing there was 2 people from the same angle as they push down, but classic pro mode only, showing how pro he is with that sniper.
And that's it. and not before Venom gets a killing spree. Venom kills Thanos and gets a killing spree. That is
against the MCU canon.
That's against movie canon as well. They better have bought the rights for it. Oh, watch out. Venom. Nope, never mind. Optimus takes out Venom, but followed up by YAKUZA.
Classic YAKUZA.
Thanos picking the long-range fight, but I actually fear might go down. J-Master catching YAKUZA right point blank when the scope was out, and a double kill following up with the knife. This is definitely a pro mode and a half.
Yeah, carrying it on as well, looking to try and take out Snow White by punching her in the face. But backs off for the meantime. Will go down in the end after he finishes off Venom. The explosion right there, Snow's going to fall, but the response from YAKUZA is strong, and this one is actually quite close now. About nearly just 300 points for either side. They're keeping it together.
I think that's what we saw in Team Deathmatch earlier, though. I always find that in competitive, Team Deathmatch, it seems to be a steady pace and a consistent result for 4 of the 5 minutes. And then in the final moments, when everyone has 100 points left to go, that really is where the Team Deathmatch actually begins. I think this kind of back and forth gameplay that we can see where the two teams are deadlocked, I actually think that the highest level of play, this is what you expect. Because as you stick together, you will only survive for so long. So you will eventually die. So if you trade group fight for group fight for group fight, these close results will always happen. We kind of talk about this over and over in competitive TDM, and that's why almost like I'm not even sort of like commentating at this point. I'm just saying this, what we're seeing right now, this is the standard. This is what happens in TDM. In about 30 seconds time, when it's 400 each, that's where the real mode's going to begin.
Yeah, that is the biggest point we can make with it. Obviously, the 400 on from their mark, that's where it gets real. Like about now, right? These teams are close. You've got a very limited amount of time. Every frag makes so much importance to try and get you to that winning line, and this is where it gets serious. Trades are very important. YAKUZA getting the double kill with the headshot, that is magnificent. If he can help out his teammate here with a trade back as well, actually Stark comes in for that kill, but still, they're close.
Now, we're 1 kill away from Hyped Up winning, because if YAKUZA gets 1 more kill without dying, he's actually going to get a killing spree. And I think the points of that killing spree should actually win Hyped Up the game. That's why he's being so careful. We'll definitely stay on YAKUZA during this fight. He needs 1 more kill, and he's going to bag a huge chunk of points for his team. Here he is, look, defensive with the Barracuda. He's got to watch out, though. He knows there's a fight, but he can't overextend. Watch out. Here comes J-Master. Can he get the last shot? Venom gets it instead, and no extra kill needed. Venom with his double kill, followed up by a knife, is going to be the nice extra amount of points. And that, if you're on the receiving end, is definitely a rock and a hard place. Do you stop Venom from getting a double kill and a knife, which wins? Or do you try and kill him and then walk right into whoever else just needs to get a killing spree? Like, you can't die against either one of those two guys.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a horrible situation to be left in, obviously, for that team. They made the best of a bad situation, ran the risk, and at the end of the day, they do lose out there. So Hyped Up, proving that they do have a lot of firepower in that team. Obviously, very aggressive, very strong, confident, and understanding when it makes sense to keep that one player alive. And this is the thing we harp on and on about, right? Where you need to have that one man that understands, I have no armor left, but I'm in a position where I can get those major points. That's what you were building up to, the fact that if he would have found that kill, he could have single-handedly closed out the game. He didn't, but he was still in the position to do that. The point system is one of the biggest things in Guns of Boom. That's what gives you that advantage, and it's such a major aspect. You need to realize how actually that does impact it with those players being able to make build decisions like that.
And the better you play, the worse of a position you force into the other team. Because even though we didn't see the killing spree come forward, which would have happened if we just saw 1 kill, that's why he'd gone all the way back and put himself out of harm's way. He'd got out a Barracuda, because if there's a fight from distance, he just needs to get 1 shot and bam, they've won the game. Or he can catch someone out of position, bam, they've won the game. And when Venom got the double kill and the knife kill, that was only possible because of the extra damage that we saw come out as well. So all in all, well executed, and kind of following true as to why we say that in TDM and competitive, the last 100 points, that really is where the tactical comes out. Because the rest of it is kind of like, it's the standard of TDM. It's play well, trade a kill, don't go too negative, and the rest of your team will follow through. It's going to be even the entire time, and then when the second you hit that final stage, the teamwork comes through. But Hyped Up are going to be winning 2-0, moving on into our grand finals, which means we have our 3rd place playoff and then the grand finals. So while we set up our 3rd place match, we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back. everybody, and welcome back. This is the ESL Guns of Boom GO4 Finals for North America, and we're going into our third place playoff, which is going to be between Amplified and YAKUZA USA. Now, why are we having a third place playoff, might you ask? Well, the answer for that is very simple. It's a single elimination bracket tournament, which means that there has to be a third place playoff to determine third place. The reason it's being streamed is because prize money is third, second, first. Whoever loses this match leaves the tournament today with nothing.
Yes, it's very true. Obviously, you want to try and get that third spot to gain that extra moolah. As the Wu-Tang Clan once said, cash rules everything around me. Catch up.
Well, if you're first place and you're winning a $120,000 invitational, which this tournament league is leading up to, I would definitely agree with you on that one. The grand finals is the two titans of North America, V versus Hyped Up, and I'm very interested to see how that one's going to go. But first of all, needs must, and we have to get through our third place match first to see who the first team of the day is taking home some money.
It will be an exciting one when we get underway. Obviously, Amplified and YAKUZA USA both fell short against the two massive Goliaths of those teams that are going to be going up in the upper bracket final. And that's the scary fact, obviously, for these two sides, is going into this, what do they play? We saw them, both of the sides actually majority on the objective game modes there, falling short, overthrown by the teams that have more structure, more experience in that. Is this where maybe they switch up the veto a little bit here and actually fall back into maybe more of a team deathmatch favored mode or something along those lines, because they didn't quite have the everything ironed out in terms of the kinks in the team there?
Well, Team Deathmatch seems to be a little bit more consistent today from what we've seen for the teams in both Europe and North America, in fact. And I think that's going to be what we expect to see a little bit more of. I'm expecting to see a lot more of the standards, probably Military Warehouse, definitely Skyscrapers, because that was in the rotation previously as well. And it's kind of going back into talking about the maps that players know versus the maps they have limited experience with. The second we had our first half of this season, and it was predetermined maps depending on our stage of the tournament. I believe it was like, top 8 was different series of maps, and then the semis were different, third place, and then the grand finals were obviously a set rotation as well. Now we've introduced the ability for players to pick and ban the maps they do and don't want to play on, depending on the tactical decisions that you make. It is offering a more interesting turn of events, because it's not just about being able to play the game well at this point. It's about being able to play that mental game well too, understanding what maps teams are good against, removing them, and etc, etc.
Yeah, being able to have that fortitude to know what to veto, know what to pick, and really understand your opponents in a bit of a further grasp now compared to what we've seen before. Obviously, with the set bans, it's just literally you turn up, you play, and you play to the best of your advantage. But a team might have an upper hand on you if they've spent a lot more time on that, if that's what they've been practicing on. And it sort of restricts that growth in terms of individual teams. Now, with the veto system coming into play, it's a bit more interesting. We're seeing those picks coming through. Obviously, a lot of objective game modes to kick us off. Is that going to carry on through the rest of the day is going to be one of the key points. Yeah,
and the difference, again, for those that are new to the stream, I'm going to constantly sort of mention you guys at home that might be a little bit new to it, because we've kind of gone in with like somewhat of a fresh start in terms of the second half of this season, especially when it comes to gameplay. In our lower bracket final, well, not lower bracket final, sorry, third place playoff, and then our grand finals, it's a 3 out of 5, which is a first to 3 maps rather than a first to 2, which is what we've been seeing up until this point. The extra map pretty much gives teams a extra little dimension to either download a team or just play on a map that they have a little bit of a better success rate on. And we've actually seen in tournament quite regularly, the second you add that 3 out of 5 difference from a best of 3, it does make a humongous difference to some of these final results.
Yeah, that's the sort of the point that we spoke about more so in Europe as well, how it's a very fast-paced game. Having that full-on best of 5 does allow the better team to sort of edge forward, obviously. You can fall short in a game mode where in a best of 5 there is more room for error, and you can also play to your advantage. You're going to be able to possibly get in those King of the Hills, get in the game modes that you like to play versus a game mode you might still be a bit scrappy on, haven't really gotten everything fully down or committed to as your main focus. We see teams that sort of gravitate to one or the other game modes as their main focus and then bubble around that.
Now, I believe we've been informed the pick and ban process is currently taking place. So as soon as we know what the maps are going to be, then by all means, we shall tell you lovely people at home to find out what the maps will be. And to be honest, we kind of grasp a little bit what Europe does when it comes to picking maps, because the first time we saw the pick and ban system was actually at the European Invitational.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen America do pick and ban at all. This is pretty much the first time on stream we've seen that happen. So the maps that North America favor? The interesting thing about the streamers, we're going to find that out. I truly don't know what North American players' favorite maps are. I don't know what their favorite game modes are. But I think through picks and bans coming through now, this is the time we finally discover these little bits of information about some of the teams that we've been watching for many months on end at this point. Yeah,
because it gives us an idea of more so individually what they want to play as obviously that core roster. And coming into things like with LA, the fact that if we get there, the point I was making earlier back in Europe is how this is the first time we're going to see both of these two, different continents actually clash. We're going to see everyone going off against each other, and it'll be more interesting because there is going to be differences in terms of what they veto, what they pick, and how they play. Obviously, right now the game is very clean-cut and streamlined. There isn't anything too crazy that's been thrown into the meta in a while, so it stayed the same, so everything's sort of balanced out. But more so in terms of individual players, what maps they're going to be picking, and how do these players fare in terms of the mental game in a LAN environment versus the European players that have had a little bit more experience now.
Exactly, and some of the bans, there's even the term respect bans, and if you're not sure what that term means, it pretty much means that sometimes you'll ban something that is not necessarily like a meta ban, or a ban that is like, you ban this map, you ban this weapon, you ban this character, etc., whatever the ban is and whatever game it is. But if you fight someone that you know is well known for using a certain part of the game that they are exceptionally good at, and in this case, maybe there's a team that has an amazing map, maybe there's a team that is basically unbeatable on one of these maps, then a respect ban would be, just because that map they're really good on isn't necessarily a ban you would normally do. Against this team in particular, you respect the fact that they are so dangerous on this map, you ban it to remove that advantage from them. And that pretty much just means that you are well tuned with how your opponents approach the game. And those kind of bans, only the most experienced teams will make them.
That is true, because it takes a lot of understanding your opponents, obviously playing against them, and as well as what research these players doing right now outside of the game. Obviously, it's still getting its sort of first stages. This is the real first season. This is the build-up to the biggest event the game's ever going to have so far, but there'll still be more to come, and it's sort of like all the hype has been generated now, and these teams are learning what it means to really be a, an actual contender here in a genuine tournament and get into esports for their first sort of time. So they've got to realize what you do outside of the game as well. And this is sort of what we saw with Forza, right? Outside of the game, they've improved drastically. Seems like the team has been looking into what their opponents are doing, worked out how to improve as their core team. And we need to see these guys looking into demos, obviously watching over the VODs after the broadcast, looking into what teams are picking, why they're playing it, and how they can use that to help them out in the later stages. Because the more you know about a team, the better you can counter them.
Now, I've just been informed, lo and behold, we do actually have some of our picks and bans gone through. The first map is going to be Military Warehouse. Our second map is going to be Skyscrapers. Map number 3, interestingly, is actually going to be Subway, so we're going to see some Subway action as well. Now, the first 2 maps being picked, popular team deathmatch maps. That doesn't surprise me. If we're going to go with TDM, I said this before in Europe, and because we've gone into separate, technically it's a separate show, I'm going to mention it again. Team DM maps. It's going to be a map that you know versus a map that you don't really know competitively. Yeah. I think there is a very strict reason we're seeing the Warehouse. We're seeing, we were seeing the Subway picked. We're seeing Skyscrapers. They're maps that players have played on time and time again. And now they're starting to play for money. I think the teams are going, well, we could go for something a little bit more interesting. Or unpredictable is the correct word I was trying to look for. If you know a map, you know you can play well on it.
Yeah.
So that's like, look, we know we can do it, so we'll just pick that. That's pretty much the strategy these teams are adopting.
Yeah, you also have, on the other hand, some teams that maybe in the later stages as it goes on will want to go for the cheese pick, which is something that can be a little bit of a spanner in the works, right? Either none of you are going to be well versed on it, or you feel like it's a map that you might have played a little bit, you put your eggs into, and you're feeling like, this could be something later on down the line that we can have an advantage with if we can pick it, whereas your opponents won't really play it too much. You can throw that in there, they won't really be expecting it, as there are a few maps that we're seeing now come into circulation that just haven't been played because they weren't there when there was the set rotation, and they're not really a fan favorite. They're a lot more messy in terms of the aggression. Sort of, we for ourselves for the first time was realizing how they're going to be played in that very interesting style like we saw earlier on today.
I like a messy map. I like it because it's almost like what team can control the chaos the most. these kind of maps that are pretty much like a competitive spanner in the works, where it's like, some of these teams, they're not going to be grinding on maps that aren't in the competitive rotation, unless now we do pick and ban, and they can pick certain maps, and they're kind of expecting them to just get banned all the time. What if one time a map doesn't get banned, and then you have to play on it? It's like the team that has to think on their feet the fastest, and, you know, you're in some ways rewarded for playing the board a little bit and not kind of expecting every team to go with the meta as we know it. But if we go for a map that people aren't used to, it results in some really interesting gameplay. It's half a map. It's 2.5 minutes of a team going, wait, how do we do this? Like, wait, where do I stand? You stand there. I go here. We can shoot through that, I think. Just kind of peek through. It's probably a nightmare to play as a player, but from our perspective, and all you guys at home, it's a real treat.
It's a lot more interesting because as you sort of see the teams learn how to play the map during the live action as well. Like we saw with everyone sort of realizing, okay, we need to sort of turtle and play defensive here rather than being overly aggressive, and realizing what works, what doesn't, what you can try and do, and when you need to actually incorporate more strategy rather than just playing the default base game. Because obviously TDM, as we've touched on, it very much is slow to get go. Just trades, constant trades, because one team will have the advantage into that fight. It's a knock-on effect. It's very, very standard. But then you have the hecticness, which it comes down to understanding what kills to take, what fights to take, when to back off, and when to actually go for those triple faces and things like that. That's the interesting part, and we'll see more of that, I think, going into this, especially in the final. I reckon that's where we're really going to see a lot of aggression.
It's when the two best teams come together, we kind of see that the newer age of the meta become more apparent from a viewer's point of view. But while we get into our next match, I believe we have our lobby opening as we speak, but we have got the roadmap for the Season 1 finals to kind of show you guys what the journey is going to be. We haven't really talked about this. It kind of shows during the breaks, but if you guys want more of an explanation, Black Bulls are here in Europe because they won the European Invitational by winning, and this was obviously formerly YAKUZA. They had rebranded as Black Bulls, had a little bit of a roster swap, and now they are back on form. They looked really, really good earlier today. They are guaranteed for the Season 1 finals in Los Angeles. And my word, Los Angeles for a finals is always a great place to be. For a lot of our European teams, it's quite a culture shock. It's quite a shock to the system. A lot of our players being kind of green to competitive video games. A lot of them, this is their first competitive game, period, the end. So going into America to play their favorite game is always a wonderful experience, especially if you're new. Now, as you can clearly see, first and second, these two teams that are higher on the leaderboards in terms of earned points throughout these weekly cups will guaranteed qualify, and there's also a direct invite. A direct invite exists for North America as well, but contrary to Black Bulls being directly invited, we can see first, second, and third place through points will also qualify as well. So getting top 3 placements as a bare minimum is pretty much mandatory if you want to make it through. We already saw the standings though. We can see that Hyped Up are near guaranteed already with their 700 points. But that said, there's still time for some of the more up-and-coming teams to break the mold, come out of the woodwork, and start getting those grand finals performances. If that's what they can do, they actually run the risk of stealing this victory away. Hyped Up have 700 points, and then V and YAKUZA very closely together with 700 for Hyped Up and then 485 for V. 460 for YAKUZA. There's so many numbers to go on because these have been going on for quite a while. The thing I wonder about is that Amplified is underneath them by a significant margin. The rest of these teams, they need to step up, and they are running out of time.
Yeah. For myself as well, I'd like to see Fotties do well.
I knew you would point that out. What a name.
That's a great name.
Why are they called that?
What, Fotties?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't want to talk about it, but, you know, yeah. I'm just glad we don't see them in
that
top
mobile gamer
4.
over there. FOMS.
I'm glad we don't get to see them in the top 4, so I don't have to read that name. We've had that before in cups with teams that have questionable names.
You never look. Maybe they'll get in the invited spot. They'll be brought down to LA just for the sake of it.
Well, just to make me have to say it out loud.
Fotties.
Just yeah. I mean, to be fair, it might not mean what I think it means, and I'm not going to elaborate past that. But Hyped Up, if they win this cup, I'm pretty much going to maintain my prediction of these guys are going to make it. You know, these guys could even be a grand finals. It depends on how well North America play. against Europe. I gotta say, I have no idea. I have no idea how North America will match up against Europe. I don't know if these guys have scrimmed. Maybe that's one of those things. Or have these teams ever kind of bared an internet connection difference and tried to just scrim to just have a laugh and see kind of how the teams are standing up against each other, or whether they truly are going to wait until the finals and they're not going to give other parts of the world information they would otherwise need.
Yeah, because I mean, in terms of it, like if we saw maybe like West Coast playing against one of the European sides, maybe like 80, 70 ping, it would be doable. They could actually try and have like a bit of a face-off against each other and just see how things go. Obviously, it's not going to be a very accurate affair to what you would have either online if they lived closer, or at a LAN event where there is going to be that no delay and it's going to be crisp as ever. That is going to be one of the main points, right? Because they're never really going to have that true experience. That's why it's so interesting, because this is the only time we're going to get to see that. We see a lot of Europe, we see a lot of NA, but only in isolated cases. When we see them together, it will be a tasty combination. But we are into the server.
Oh my word. I don't know if you guys believe it, but this game is now up and running. Praise be. Raise your hands into an X and say no more delays. Here we go. We're going into our first match. A minute down on the clock and very even in scores, and even more so even now, because we've just seen a couple of frags unreturned. Pro Mode manages to get one of those Barracuda headshots, as I would expect from a man of J Master's name. Phoenix gets one as well. Actually takes out Pro Mode. Optimus. This is a sniper battle, and I would expect nothing less on this map.
Phoenix looking good there as he does get that kill. Traded back out by Thanos, though, as he will beat down upon him. Optimus Prime going to be rolling out straight over, no aim assist. And Agent Socks, the cutest cat in the business, will get the trade frag.
Gat has a wonderful position, actually. Watch out, because Bullseye is going to get 2 easy kills. I love the damage output. Gat gets that knife kill. It's going to be returned, but a close range shot versus a knife kill. Knife kill is always going to hold more weight. No auto aim, misses that knife, which unfortunately means we're going to lose a little bit of points.
Do you think the Bullseye is actually Bully, the Bullseye mascot from the popular darts show?
Oh, I actually never saw that show.
Did you not?
No, I'd always heard about it. I'd always tune in to see if Takeshi's Castle was on, and if that was on, I'd just turn it off. I'd wait for Takeshi's Castle.
That was very true. They did overlap a lot.
They did, and that would always make me sad as a kid. Anyway. No aim assist, has to be careful here. Surrounded by enemies. Trying to pick a defensive point. Taking minimal damage around the side. Optimus manages to get one. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about. We've seen so much team deathmatch today. I think we've had a wonderful example of kind of what competitive TDM looks like. And right now, it's pretty even. Amplified, they're looking good in this game, I have to say. But that said, it always is even. And it's the final moments. Doesn't seem to be following through as much. I think that might come down again to how they start. Actually, look at aim assist. He's had a bit of a hard time. Only 33 points.
It's not too fantastic for him. I mean, you did tell him earlier he just needs to maybe turn the aim assist back on. It could help. Goku's been killed. The response as well with a shank going to go through Pro Mode only. Optimus gets one, but it's so staggered, and that's the difference now. Amplified about 100 points ahead as they reach the 385 mark. There is a bit of a response from Thanos as he's racking up the numbers, trying to leave the universe nice and balanced.
And aim assist, having to watch out. Bigat can see him, but oh my god, watch out! There's someone right behind you! Oh, that's really unfortunate. Being stuck in the scope and just being so focused into a target, not aware of one's surroundings, can be super punishing. They trade it through, aim assist. Unfortunately, blew himself up. Maybe aim assist would have made the grenade throw. Oh, watch out! J-Master almost blew himself up with his own grenade as well because he just bounced it off the wall. His point.
Very awkward.
That would have been a really, really bad self-kill, actually. There was no one nearby. And actually gets the double kill. Grenade kill as well for extra points. Now we're reaching the end, but Amplified have had a steady lead. That one section where they just broke away, I think, has been the whole reason they're winning now. You know, it was even throughout, but that one moment where Amplified broke away, and it's maintained consistent afterwards. That's all there is to it. 6 more points. I don't see them losing this one. This definitely should be game over.
Trying to bring it back, and actually,
they're
making it work.
Why do I keep saying that? What happened there, Jackie?
I had a quad kill, mate.
And that was a quad kill, and what? I hope we got a replay of that, because I think I'm personally making these teams lose. I see 3 points, 1 point. I go, you know what? Surely with like 100 points left to go, they can't. Pack it in, boys. Wrap it up. This game is over. This game is done. And consistently, it doesn't happen.
Just,
sorry, guys.
what can you say there, really? Just didn't work out like that?
Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. Did we? I hope we got a replay of that. I need to watch it back to see how
the anger.
You blink. You literally blink and just see the entire kill feed just fill. That must have just been a grenade. One grenade. I think it was a grenade.
It was that. It was the grenade and the push coming round and just basically sideline, and there was no armor on the player. Dings him down, gets a quad kill. So the point bonus blasts him through. Obviously, the main thing we've always spoke about. You got to worry about the point bonus.
I love the point bonus in this game for that exact reason, because in a 5-minute game where a team can be that far behind, it's very, very easy in a lot of games for teams to kind of give up the ghost in that essence. That they'll give up hope. They'll look at that difference and say that surely there's no way we can win. But now you have all of these different point values taken on board, where the better you do and the more kills that you get back to back, the more Guns of Boom rewards you for that effort. And that final moment is exactly why you can reap the rewards of just being a damn good player.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Do you have the replay?
Yeah, this was the moment. They just needed 6 more points. Anything would have done. And then, yeah, just that was a killing spree and a quadra kill at the exact same time.
Just
and that's
the
what we
extra
needed.
Points.
Yeah, I think that was even just 1 kill. That was 1 kill that had triggered the 2 criteria. We saw what basically, that must have been like 50 points at least. Ooh. Oh no, never mind. We went just over it. So about 40 points I think that was. Which normally, maybe it doesn't mean that much, but in the final moments when you need 30 points to win, that 1 kill that we saw at the last second was the sole reason that comeback took place. Wonderful management. And if you know you're close to a quadra kill and a killing spree at the same time, if you know you're that close to winning, it's a wonderful idea to stay defensive and not give up death too easily.
Goku, 14 kills as well. Well, you know, we joshed around a little bit, saying maybe he wasn't performing as well when we saw him at first, but definitely doing damage there, and he was the saving grace for him. Can he carry on to do it again as we do move into our second map here?
Well, it's going to be Skyscrapers, so it's going to be the exact same game mode, just a slightly different change in scenery. Skyscrapers much more vertical compared to other TDM maps.
Ooh. 70. Oh, an 88 to 61 scoreline now as Optimus gets that kill over a no aim assist.
That was a really bad grenade throw. Did you see that?
It's a little bit messy.
He just threw it into the wall, just point blank.
Weak wrists, mate.
Just seems to strengthen his grip.
He's no Stretch Armstrong.
Ooh, that was a really good prediction grenade.
It's the impact, hitting him with the up close and personal. Phoenix trying to deal with 2 men at once, can only get the better of one of them before he goes down to Optimus, and you know, into a bit of an awkward situation for Amplify. They are lagging behind in terms of the points ever so slightly.
And now it's actually Optimus pretty weak with no armor. And that's exactly why Bullseye just got that 1 hit, 1 kill. The second you lose armor, you become so vulnerable to those Thanatos headshots, those Barracuda headshots. High damage, and they trade it back and forth, keeping YAKUZA in the lead. Pretty chunky lead, I have to say. But again, because it's TDM, whenever you get a kill, you probably will go down before you can get another one. You know, the concept of trading is so common in TDM. For this exact reason, look at how weak YAKUZA are. Looks like they have a massive lead, but both of these guys are probably going to drop before they get another kill, if Amplified are able to pick them out correctly.
Ooh, the AWP. The AWP? Gone back to CS for a second.
It was the wrong game.
He's done the AWP, mate. It's all gone wild. He's going for the retake.
Watch now when you call an AWP Barracuda by mistake, and the entire stream goes, what? What's he talking about?
What's this guy on about?
Oh, headshot. It's your custom name.
Classic auto-aim socks. I like the fact he has a little baby panda on his back. You see, oh, they're both got pandas.
Maybe that's their thing. They just wanted to sort of have it together. I like it. If I had it, I'd have it too. Oh, double kill from Optimus. That's a chunky lead for YAKUZA, by the way. I would go as far to say, oh no, Thanos is not there? What? Where'd he go? He seemed to disappear. I'm not sure what happened. He had points. So I'm assuming maybe he's having potentially some... I mean, the thing is, it's not Amplified's problem. So if they catch him off site, they're going to take the kill. They'll take the kill for what it is, especially when there's money on the line.
Very true. But 100-point difference, really, as they do start to close the gap slightly as they deal out some big damage. A bit of an awkward firefight, but in the end, Phoenix gets that frag, and they're bridging the gap more and more. The nade kill goes through, but it's actually a suicide play. J-Master Pro Mode only is dead.
Thanos getting hit by the two-piece. One shot and another one. Here comes Pro Mode. Oh, that headshot hurts so good. Watch out for the peek. I'm actually surprised he peeked that. Must have had a lot of confidence in his opponent's ability to miss the shot, but just made the wrong call. Is allowing Amplified to make a comeback here. They are not that far behind anymore at all.
And that was the second suicide with a grenade as well on YAKUZA USA. Not too fantastic from them. They do need to step it up a little bit as the push comes back in. It's a bloodbath, getting it very, very close as everyone is popping off. The lunacy coming out from Optimus Prime with the double kill, as he is going to keep on moving.
And now we are in danger territory. YAKUZA USA, they only need a few more points, and they also have the clock on their side. 50 seconds left to go. You can win by timeout. If you have more points than the opposing team and the timer runs out, you will just win through the score alone. And that's actually why we're seeing YAKUZA be hyper-defensive now. They're actually setting up shop in their own base. They're not putting a foot out at all. And the reason for that is because they just want to concede as little as possible, pick off those long-range kills, get one or two here and there, and that's going to be enough to make it through. I feel like YAKUZA, I've said it a lot before, but they should be able to win this one here. They get one more kill, 9 left to go, 20 seconds on the clock. I don't even think it's possible for YAKUZA to lose anymore.
No, they can't mess it up in this situation. And J-Master, the Pro Mode only, will get the win for the boys as YAKUZA USA pick that one up. They have now claimed 2 maps out of the best of 5, so only 1 to go before they will be locking down that 3rd place. And they're looking pretty good. Indeed,
and we're going into our next map, which is going to be Subway. Haven't seen Subway today, so personally I'm actually really excited to check it out. Haven't seen it in a fair old while. And I've just been informed that the pick was actually incorrect at the time. It's going to be Europe Square. So there's going to be a little bit of difference. So Europe Square, Subway's next. Thanks, guys, for telling me that. But that does mean that Europe Square is going to be different as well. We haven't seen that either. So we're going to get a little bit of variety in the mix. And different game modes, again, at last. It's been a while since we've seen some control point. We're going to see some more of that. Always comes down to how much of a good start you can get. But a lot of our crazy moments that we've seen in this GO4, even since we very began, it's King of the Hill and it's control point that I think bring us the most interesting results, the most hype moments. Because I feel like TDM is quite a standard path now. You know, it's such a standard mode. Not that it's a bad mode by any means. It's just, I think, more predictable. And it just comes down to clutch at the last second. Whereas I think King of the Hill and control points, the victory fluctuates throughout so many different points. It's how crucial was this point capture? How many points do you capture in total? How good are you at holding a mode? Even if you're not an amazing fragger, you can still win through other means on something like Europe Square.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to try and incorporate some different aspects of play there, and hopefully that's what we're going to see. Obviously towards the late game as well of Europe Square, it's become quite fierce. It was one of the more, I'd say, exciting maps that we had at the EU Invitational towards the end, especially in the grand final. Some very clutch last moment rotations that made the difference. You see a lot of people actually tunnel vision when they play this. It seems they kind of lose sense that C site can be so important and very much get restricted to just trying to play for B, and sometimes it does come back to bite them.
It does, and I think some of that is because of how the sniper rifle is such a popular weapon in this game. Being locked into the scope is, it can be really punishing. It's like a big risk, big reward. The damage and what seems like almost like an infinite range on some of these higher powered rifles. They do have wind-up time, so you can't kind of look and shoot immediately. You do have to kind of let that little meter build up. And with that in mind, it can cause a lot of problems as the team. And unfortunately, we've actually had a leave. I'm not really sure what's happening here. Whatever's happening, we'll let you know. But I'm going to make a bold claim and assume this match might be a write-off, Jackie.
I think they've defaulted.
Have they?
I come from a background of UKCS, mate. That looks like a tilt default.
Now, this early, though? Surely not. We'll find out. But right now, it's that hot 4 versus 1. Maybe he should actually turn his auto-aim on now.
That would,
if there's a time to do it.
That would save him. Possibly.
I don't know what happened. The lobby shut down. I'm assuming we'll be remaking things. Hi guys, we're back. What up? So about that match. That was a hot match.
Sick.
That was a hot minute of gameplay.
Yeah.
I was most impressed. But anyway, we'll find out what's actually happening there as soon as our admins find out what's going on. they'll obviously feed us back the information, and then we'll get things back up and running. But anyway, on the subject of control points, it kind of looked to me like YAKUZA just had a better start. And that might have been all she wrote. I don't know. It could have just been an honest disconnect. By all means, we'll find out what's happening. But yeah, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles.
It is true. Or, you know, it's like when you have a biscuit and some milk, and you put the biscuit in the milk, and sometimes it gets too soggy, and it breaks off and it goes to the bottom of the milk, and then you try and get it out, and it's disaster. That's what that was.
What's even worse than that is, and it's actually worse with a warm cup of tea, is that when you put a biscuit in your cup, and then you put it in, and then you try and play God, right? You feel like you have the all supreme power, and you leave it in for an extra second, and then it immediately breaks off.
Yeah.
So you have to get another biscuit out to try and
scoop them out.
With enough,
it's all too wet
until it falls down to the bottom. You get another biscuit out to try and scoop it, and then that one breaks, and then you have to give up, and then understand that you've actually ruined your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Because now it's just got loads of mush in it.
Just this build up of just rich tea biscuits at the bottom. Everywhere.
Okay, so we've actually just been informed what happened. Unfortunately, Amplify did actually forfeit that loss. So you were bang on the money, Jackie.
I come from UK Counter-Strike.
You were
this works.
bang on the money. But unfortunately, on that note, that does mean YAKUZA USA moving on, and they'll be taking home the 3rd place prize money. And just like that, we will waste no time and set up our grand finals. And while we do that, we're going to go for a quick break. Thank you very much for staying with us. We'll be back in a few minutes, and don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Guns of Boom GO4 Finals, where in North America, we have our first grand finals ready to go since the European Invitational, kind of marking the 0.5 section of this season, the halfway point, where it's going to be V versus Hyped Up, the two best teams in North America. And result-wise, I'm actually kind of interested because Hyped Up did not go into this GO4 actually being the #1 team, which is very strange because they are, and have been up until this point, the most dominant team in America by far. Now, will that open for different results today now the stream is live and we're sitting here and talking about it to all you lovely people at home? Who knows? My name is Ketchup and I'm joined by Jackie. It's good to have you back, bro. How's things going?
It's been good. Obviously, we had a little bit of time apart from the invitation.
Missed you, bro.
Miss you too, bro. When I close my eyes, bro, I see nothing.
Wow, I thought
without you.
What was I about to say? I thought you were going to say something like, when I look at you, I feel nothing. I'll be like,
what? Just hey, I'm sick of you, Ryan.
I'm just gonna leave. Don't worry. See you later. See you in a bit.
So I'll just slide in.
All right. Anyway, we're back. We have the map rotation, I believe, good to go for our grand finals. It's going to be Atrium as our first map. So control points, very interesting outcome indeed. And because we're in our grand finals, it's 3 out of 5 territory.
Well, we're into the action. Already a close affair as we dive straight in. Nearly 200 points apiece between these two sides, and these are the most evenly matched teams. I think this is going to provide us with the best final we could have asked for.
It's definitely going to be close with the two teams we have ready to go. Hyped Up, they have always been the most dangerous set of players, and if they lose here, I would definitely consider it an upset. And that's only a testament to how insanely dominant they've been.
Oh, Jen, giving it there.
She is
everyone.
She is an animal on this map. It has to be said. She is so consistently a top performer. Stark is able to secure 2 kills though. And again, just to kind of go back and talk about control points, holding all the points is make or break. Getting kills is one thing, but holding more points controlled, that is the objective of this mode. It's not like King of the Hill where you can win fights alone. You have to be good.
It's very, very close. As the damage is done, actually taking about the same pace as both teams, but Hyped Up begin to take the lead now into the late game. They've asserted dominance and gained control of the majority of the sites. YAKUZA finds that kill onto Corrupt. Response is there onto Venom. It's still so tight.
We can see a little bit of a grouping in the center of this map. Really good set of kills there from V. That's a lot of blue on red. You can see in the top right hand of your screen, and it's Jen just constantly racking up kill after kill here. She gets a killing spree, even swaps to the sidearm for just extra bonus points. And I wonder if that might be enough to move them forward.
Point A is under attack.
Living up to a clan tag there, definitely a sick player. Rips her way through Stark, that's going to be the jump on the site. Hyped Up, they had a moment of bringing it back in their favor, but things have definitely fallen over to V.
But we can see here, whenever you look at the feed, whenever the player is going to be moving, look at the weapon they swap to. They swap to the Scout Rifle, and that's because the Scout Rifle offers increased movement speed. It's not really used as a weapon. The Assault Rifles and the Porcupines, they're kind of like the damage dealers here. The rifle serves as just a means to go faster, to go from point to point. It's really nice optimization. Look, everyone has it. They're all using it for that one strategy. A nice level of high-level understanding of what the passives give you. In this case, increased movement speed.
That's what you need as well. That good understanding of the game mechanics, of how to use those weapons for the best possible edge. But V have the edge in this one. Surely they'll pick this up now. They only need 100 points to go, and they're looking pretty effective. Corrupt will get the frag on Venom. Genentrix as well comes through on Stark, and surely this is over now.
And normally, we've always kind of like jumped the gun a little bit too early throughout this. Well, I say we, definitely just me, throughout the course of this stream, been calling losses a bit too early and the miraculous comeback happens. But in control points, when it's a natural climb of points, it truly is an impossible victory at certain points. And right now, V off to a very good start, and they maintain consistency, taking this first map. And as we go further into this 3 out of 5, V themselves now just need 2 more maps. They're actually going to be our first champions of the second half of this season.
That would be crazy as well, obviously, for them if they can walk into this and dominate in the get-go, especially up against Hyped Up, right? That's a big win to take because you've come in, you've really sort of proven, okay, we can go toe-to-toe with you guys and we can win this. It's a best of 5 as well, so it's not like it's an upset in a best of 3 where they could try and debate it and say, look, you guys, you know, you won off the back of this. This is every map being played out, basically. You're in a really neck-and-neck situation. It's down to the best team that wins.
Now, I've been informed what the rest of the maps are actually going to be. So it's Military Warehouse is going to be our next map, then it's Europe Square after that. Skyscrapers for map number 4, and if we go down to our 5th and final map, it's going to be my favorite map to watch, Paradise Island. It's going to, I've not seen it in forever, and I'll be honest, I actually kind of miss it at this point. So I'm going to be biased, and I'm going to hope that we get a final map. For that reason alone, I want to see my favorite map back in action. It's just such an aggressive map, it's Paradise Island. It's sick.
It's nice as well. It's a good little change of scenery.
It's raining here now. The weather here is terrible in the UK.
It's all gone wrong. It was nice and sunny for a while, and then it all went rad.
Well, it was really nice and sunny and warm, perfect barbecue weather, and then I went to America for 2 weeks to do 2 events. I come back and the weather's... What happened? It just all went wrong.
I know. Attacked by the killer rain. It returned.
And we don't have the measures for rain in this country. It just becomes humid and gross. But the Military Warehouse, we have seen our fair share of that map today. It tends to be pretty consistent, I think. You can have those moments of greatness if one of your players pops off, and that really is the one thing I think that breaks away from the tradition of Team Deathmatch. Normally Team Deathmatch is that even back and forth game until the last minute, but if there's one player on either team that is just kicking ass, that is just doing the absolute greatest, that is getting the killing sprees, getting the headshots, then that's one of the main things that contributes towards a team actually breaking away and winning through consistent play alone, and not having to make a big comeback or not having to get a clutch last kill and winning through a dominant result is because you have players that are just reaching that next level.
Yeah, that's what it is. You just need those, you know, small little sprinkling of players that are just going to be able to pop off at times and carry. Someone that will be your impact fragger for that time and really just give you the extra edge. And hopefully we can see that, as it seems like we are going to be diving back into the action, which should be good. Obviously, a best of 5. We've just seen the first map be concluded, and it's close. I feel like this could still go either way.
And speaking of which, what a start. 15 versus 50. Hyped Up have had a wonderful beginning to this match. And now we're going to see if they can maintain control. Venom and Stark combined, their powers secure. Multiple kills. Venom gets an early killing spree as well.
Hyped Up looking a whole lot better here when we're back on the TDM. Very, very strong in terms of these firefights. They know how to work together well as a unit. They're firing from all cylinders, looking for the kills, doubling up, but they are going down. They've gifted Gentrix a double kill there as well. Hyped Up, they do have the lead, but V can catch up if they keep offering them these free kills like this.
And again, to reposition, they go with a faster movement speed that the Scout Rifle provides. Stark and Venom again working together. They've had this 2-man buddy system pretty much the entire time, and my word, the results. Been impressive stuff. Gentrix takes out Venom. And Snow, I should say. Not a team player, gets Stark also.
Gentrix just waiting for the angle to be pushed, as they are all set up, going to be just holding their own, launching out the grenades as they bounce around and transfer a fair amount of damage. And actually, it looks so good for Hyped Up now. Look at all the frags just raining in. They just team wiped them.
That was really clutch from Venom too, being able to pop the heal when he did. He was pretty much 1 tick away from going down. Very quick reactions to go to his health item and prevent the natural ticking down from taking place. Stark gets another kill on the board, but not before Kev gets a knife in return. And of course, knives grant extra points as well.
Big Kev and the boys doing good work as they push their way back in. YAKUZA towards the sideline on the left-hand side, fairly low. They could get a flank off on this group right now as well, as they fight in close range combat. So far, it's a trade for trade, but Corrupt gives them the advantage. Big Kev and all slams down on Stark, and things aren't looking too great for Hyped Up all of a sudden. They're not too far behind, 90 points difference.
Can be easily recovered as well if he picked their shots. No, oh, Kev, watch out. Taking massive damage, forced to retreat. Unfortunately, his position has been completely compromised. They know he's trying to run away. Snow gets one. YAKUZA secures a second. Grenade kill for extra points. Always going to be welcomed with this far into a TDM map. At this rate, likely to be a 1-1. YAKUZA gets another. And actually, I actually love that weapon. That weapon right there, I believe that's a Treo tournament exclusive, penetrates targets, which is one of the only guns, might be the only gun in the game that can do that.
My goodness. It's fresh as well. We normally talk about how it's always the same weapons each and every game. That's a bit of a switch up from the normal meta.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen it used. Well, we'll see how much it's going to work out. It's actually a sick looking weapon as well, visually. It does look really cool. Danny Trejo would be proud.
The Time 99. Yeah, the old classic. But hyped up, not needing too much to actually force this into a 1-1 scoreline so far into this final as the tags are going out. The response from V, they're looking to try and get these kills, but they're struggling. It is just the 1-for-1 trades. The kill from the new hotness.
The killing spree on the new hotness.
My goodness.
And the final kill of the map. We talk and talk and talk about how teams don't go with experimental weapons or different weapons and that, and lo and behold, we saw... Actually, you know, it's used so little in competitive play. Off the top of my head, I've forgotten what the in-game name of that weapon is. I just know that it was one of the main weapons that you would get in the Treo tournament, which is quite the, as you can see, quite the reward. Actually, it's pretty good. But that's why players use it.
Yeah.
You know, you can go with these interesting picks, and on TDM, on a small map like that, when everyone's kind of huddled together, normally the only way to damage multiple targets at once is to get a grenade on the ground. But now you've got an LMG that does massive damage by itself and can go through targets. Like, come on, that is the ultimate support weapon.
It very much is. The new hotness looking strong as he was just tearing his way through people with it, showed how aggressive it can be, and that is hyped up coming back in quite effectively. Obviously, they struggled in the first objective game mode, but when we got into TDM, that was more their cup of tea.
Well, YAKUZA wielding the new hotness, giving himself the highest scoring player in the room, showing that you can be a little bit more versatile with your picks sometimes. If something's really good, and just because no one else is using it, doesn't mean you shouldn't use it.
You got to remember, Ketchup, don't be a spectator in your own life. You got to make those bold decisions sometimes.
Invent the wheel.
Exactly.
Never be afraid to reinvent the slice of bread just because the slice of bread has been made before. Supreme bread.
You ever heard of toaster bags?
No?
So you would take 2 slices of bread, you could put like a salmon in there, and you'd put them into a toaster bag, and then you could toast it, and it would cook the food.
What?
Yeah, look up toaster bags.
Wait, as in you would use a toaster as a cooking device?
Yeah. So it would all go into the toaster bag.
Yeah.
You'd cook it in the toaster.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would ever.
I don't know why you would ever.
Extreme circumstances, right? Maybe you're in a position where that's all you've kind of got and needs must. But exactly, you know, that kind of goes exactly with what I was talking about. Never be afraid to take the meta. Which in that case
put the salmon in the toaster bag.
Yeah, that's right. You can go with the Juggernaut, you can go with the Porcupine, or you could put a salmon in the toaster bag.
That's what you need sometimes. And YAKUZA, he's shown that. He had the salmon in the toaster bag. He's had a nibble and gone, not for me. I'll leave it for now, but I will use the different gun.
Exactly. That was his choice. Maybe he had a bad experience with it and decided that was the time to start experimenting with something else, just for fun. And then he had a good time doing it. But it is called Matador. That is the one. Sorry, production, I think they must have just realized that I'd said that and looked for exactly. Matador, of course, it makes sense because, again, it's a Treo tournament-specific weapon. But I actually wonder if we're going to be seeing it a little bit more in our next map. I'm actually pretty excited. I hope we do. Or maybe it was map-specific. But even then, that's knowledge. It's going to be Europe Square, though, and an early start for the hyped-up boys. I do wonder if history is going to repeat itself. Can we check out YAKUZA? I want to see what he's holding. He didn't die, so no, he's not got that gun out yet. He's not gone out yet. We'll come back to him.
In the meantime, Corrupt did get a double kill with a nade, though, as he was blowing people to bits. Hyped up, looking good in terms of spreading themselves across the map. They've locked down 2 points. They're fully dominating right now. They have all sites controlled, but A will be claimed. And they are rapid on the rotate. Look at them sprinting over there. It's like a marathon as they blow everyone up.
It really is. For me, it's a testament as to how useful the passives of some of these weapons are, and why one of the main meta picks is the fact that that scout rifle does allow you to run faster. The difference of movement speed is unignorable. I feel like almost if you're on control point and you are not like the designated sniper damage dealer, your sniper rifle shouldn't be Barracuda, it shouldn't be Thanatos, it has to be the movement increase. Look at the difference. Hyped up are doing so well already. They've nearly won this match.
Point A is
It's a
under
very
attack.
smart choice to use into the meta. Obviously, that movement speed bonus, it aids you so much more. Venom in the 1 versus 1 will kill Gen, goes on to take down Corrupt as well. Venom just battering people.
And while he's defending the point, he had a little bit of the increased mobility just to be a little bit more of a pain in the backside, and now he's capturing Venom. Probably going to die here. Gen getting her revenge.
Point A
But now
captured.
there's more people around. Spread so thin, hyped up, maintaining consistency, having to just split targets. Way too many targets for the points they have to come back from. This win is going to be a hard one for V if they want to make this comeback. Hyped up are so far in the lead.
The enemy captured point A.
Oh, the nades going out. Gentrix for the kill back on Venom, but there is the trade from YAKUZA. They only need about 100 points really now as the tick is constantly bringing them back up. They're going to be able to lock it down, you'd imagine. The Butcher play as he cuts his way through. Snow running in with a big iron on his hip. Going to try and get that hit off on Gen and most likely lock this down. They need 50 points as this is going to be another win for Hyped Up, and that'll be 2 maps secured.
Very, very comfortable situation right now. That was another day in the office for Hyped Up. They just turned up, they came, they saw, they won, and now they're going to wait for that next map very patiently. Shouldn't be too long until we go into our map 4, and that was absolutely one of our fastest maps of the day. And for good reason. For a dominant team and you get a good start, I mean, that can be all you need.
Yeah, very, very true. Obviously, just showing how effective it is as well to have that mobility bonus, being able to just run around, the retake potential you have, and just how quickly they could spread out. It's really, really useful.
It just goes to show that, you know, it's not actually always about damage. If there's a weapon you're not likely to use, then sometimes you might even forego that slot. You actually very rarely see players use the rifle as an offensive tool. When they're in position to do damage, they'll swap to their higher damaging weapon. That weapon is not even a weapon in effect. It's almost like a mode. It's like just like a ball that gives you increased speed. Just treat it as an item more than a weapon. And I actually like that next level of optimization. Not every player kind of does that, but at the highest level of play where everyone understands what the weapons are and what they do, and now we're reaching a point where it's not just what can help me in a fight, it's what can help me in everything else. If we know our next map is control points, that's when in the lobby or wherever, you swap your items and your weapons to fit the mode or the map that you know you're about to play on. And that kind of thinking only comes from experience. You can't just randomly pick up Guns of Boom and use the best weapon in the game and expect to win control point against the best team in the game. You need to have more than that if you want to beat these guys.
That's where strategy plays a big part as well, because we're finally getting to that point now where teams have such a good understanding of the game that it isn't just about raw frags. Team A that has a good aimer isn't just going to beat Team B that has a slightly weaker aimer if they're a smarter team and can play strategic and try and work like they did there on an environment where they're allowed to play in that sense and lock it down. And it's good to see, obviously, development of the meta game, seeing how that shifts, and it's still in its infancy. We never know what might be added or what might be tweaked, so the whole thing could change rapidly as we see the scene develop.
Well, I mean, we've already seen on one side a weapon that we don't really get to see, which was Matador. I think that's actually the first time in the GO4 history we've ever even seen the Matador picked. And it was the star performer of that entire map. Now, on that note, our next map, which could be our final map here, is going to be Skyscrapers for TDM. Now, Skyscrapers, there are lots of points in the map where a lot of players are huddled together, and they're kind of in a line. What weapon would do well versus that? People huddled together in a line?
Sounds like you want to be hitting them with a Matador and just running your way through them, because that is very true. If you look at the map, it's basically the free channels, the lanes of the map. You're going to have those players that are coming towards them. It's a very tight area. You've got the top and the bottom. And when you're in those positions, there's constantly overlapping. We've seen it time and time again where it would be 3 players here versus the 3 players that extend round. If you can just hold that angle, constantly hammer your way through them, it would be tremendous. But we are into the action.
Well, it sounds to me that this might be the map where it's worth putting your salmon in the toaster bag.
I always put my salmon in the toaster bag, mate.
I don't at all. That does, I'll be honest, actually sounds like pretty bad.
It's very healthy for you. The frags are starting to come through, though. Snow going to get that first one. Big Kev doubles it down on Venom and Stark. Snow's kicked out of the server. It's an 85-76 already.
Very even beginning, and this is Team Deathmatch that we know. The best teams in the business will go back and forth. You will take damage, and you will eventually drop. The question's going to be how much can you make out of the life that you have? Right, Kev gets another one. Kev actually on good form. I believe it's been a while since he's dropped. He might be on the verge of getting a killing spree. We'll see how big Kev pulls things off. Got his Barracuda. So I actually think him swapping to the Barracuda suggests he's trying to be defensive because he's trying to preserve his life. And the only reason for that is because he's close to a killing spree.
Yeah, trying to play from the distance and obviously build that up. Kev in close range will go down, butchered. And he will give the opposing team the benefit there as well because he has that bounty on his head. So it's going to be worth a lot of money to slay him. V starting to fall behind now.
He was.
Up are looking good.
Look at his kills on the bottom of the screen. He has 4 kills.
Yeah.
I think that's why he was playing so defensive. One more kill probably would have given him a burst of points, but it kind of forced them all to play defensive, and he was out of the action, which almost turned it into a 4 versus 3. And Snow securing a triple kill. That is bad news for V, who had a wonderful start, and I think they were trying to preserve it so much. They lost control. They lost positioning on the map, and it is now allowed Hyped Up to just continue this snowball effect.
That's the risk of playing too timid. You've still got to have confidence, and Gen does have confidence into this one. Charges out. This could easily be a triple kill. Should get that final frag as Snow does run away, but she chases him down. It's the headshot to boot as well. So they equalize the points now.
Pushed heavily. So heavily into the base, though, that Gen had given up a kill. Keeping things even, Kev secures 1. And again, in classic fashion, only 1 point separates the team. Snow getting a butchered kill. That's going to give extra bonus points, and that was just a savage. I think everyone felt that. My word.
Oh, up close and personal Venom. Works his way through Gen. Corrupt's gone down. Venom with a follow-up frag on the nade that blows Gentrix to bits. His legs are going to go flying. That is a 317, a 353. It's close between these two sides.
This is tournament point for Hyped Up. If they win this map, they will maintain their stature as the greatest team in North America, and it'll be a great way to kickstart the second half of Season 1 to be the team to beat. They're having to work for it right now. This is close, but now, as always, we are reaching the critical point. It now has reached that area for Hyped Up. They have less than 100 to go. It can still slip through their fingers, but if they maintain these fights and they continue to get kill after kill, then it should be an easy pickup for the team of Hyped Up. Here comes the ambush. Venom getting a bit eager. The grenade's going to cloud the vision. Stuck throwing grenades, so it's damage you can't return. Hang on a minute. One more Venom with a triple kill and a butchered just to add the icing on the cake. This might be game over. I'm not going to say will because I made that mistake too many times.
Just in case, but it seems like it has to be done here, Catch Up. They're playing so defensive right now. They have to turtle.
I do agree, but
you just don't want to jinx it.
I just don't want to jinx it again. Now they're grouping. One more kill. But again, the timer's not on their side.
Yeah, they know it's basically over at this point, as they are going to push down. The nades go in. Stark runs straight over, sprints into action, wants to get the frag.
I mean,
does actually perish.
Gotta watch out, though.
It doesn't matter.
There it is. There it is. The death goes down. And there it is. Hyped Up to take the victory as the best team in North America maintains their winning streak here in the GO4 finals. And I've got to say, it's nice to see them back on form. They went into this GO4 not being the #1 team. V had actually conquered them previously, I believe, if the standings are correct, which means that Hyped Up, I think they can leave this tournament today feeling good, saying, hey guys, look, we're back on stream and we're back on form.
And that's all it means. That's all you need, really, as well. When it comes down now to the active games and played again, the GO4 starting up once more. Start winning those games, and that's what they did. Only dropping 1 map there, winning 3 against V and locking it down and looking very, very decent throughout the day. Hyped Up, definitely remaining as the top dog in North America.
And that is a good accolade to have when we're leading closer and closer into our Season 1 finals live in Los Angeles for $120,000 later down the line. If Hyped Up can be the #1 team in America and qualify directly, then I think that spells good things for them. And when the inevitable storyline of Europe versus North America happens, I would be very interested to see what region's going to come forward. And actually, you know what? I might watch this VOD back and see what the results are going to be. But you guys in chat right now, right? 1 for North America and 2 for Europe. I want your predictions right now on what region you think is actually going to take the entire season, because I would be very, very curious to see what the people think about the result.
I think that's true, because obviously North America's kind of had a bit more dominance. We've seen Hyped Up throughout the entire time being this top dog. Does that mean that they are that far ahead of everyone else, or does it mean the competition's a little bit weaker? Obviously, the only land spawning we've so far seen is from the European side, and that was in Poland, so still a lot of unanswered questions, a lot to be desired, and I think that's why LA is going to be so impactful. Exactly,
and there's going to be a lot of other things at play as well, players potentially being jet-lagged, which could be one of those factors for some of our players, and the culture shock. The second these new upcoming Guns of Boom players are in a competitive setting, there's a lot of things that you don't factor in that just blows you away when you arrive. But that's not for some time. We still have plenty of GO4s left to go and plenty of weekly cups to take part in. You can go and follow ESL Guns of Boom on Twitter, or just go ahead and follow Guns of Boom on Twitter and Facebook. And all the information that you guys need for how to sign up for these future cups yourself is all on there with all the information that you need. My name has been Ketchup. I've been joined by Jackie, and you've been watching the ESL Guns of Boom monthly final. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good night.